Hi guys, I wanted to talk to you about some changes that I'm proposing in coordination with the structural engineer. So the structural engineer has been taking a closer look at your home and the proposed design and is recommending that we incorporate some additional posts and some additional wall length, solid wall area, in the great room and in the hallway of the master suite just to avoid having to go with some more expensive steel beams, moment frames to be exact. A moment frame is basically a steel beam or a series of steel beams supported by steel posts, all of which are either strongly bolted together or even welded together. And without even getting any general contractors involved to price that out, that just says money to me. Money that I don't think we want to spend on the structure unnecessarily when all we have to do is narrow up the windows and glazing area a little bit and incorporate some posts or keep some posts, I should say, where we were demolishing previously an existing wall. So upstairs here, this is the wall plane where I'm showing these posts now at the dining area. This is the wall plane where the fireplace was, and there were some walls coming up that were supporting the ceiling. You know, they went right up to your flat ceiling. Well, that actually continued up and was supporting all the very long roof rafters that make up your roof slope. So by keeping these two posts here instead of completely obliterating them, I think we keep things simpler structurally. Um, and I'm really not opposed to these posts, especially now that they relate really nicely to these ceiling beams that we just recently added. It's not cutting off the dining table area. You could fit a longer table than this, and it would still fit quite nicely. Plenty of room to get around, to circulate around these posts and still get into the chairs. So all in all, I'm really not opposed to this. I think what this will save you in terms of structural costs are totally worth it when we can spend that money elsewhere on cabinet finishes or nicer lighting fixtures. So one of the other changes that the structural engineer is recommending in order to avoid that moment frame is to incorporate more solid wall area. So before, all of these openings, the doors and the windows were larger and were coming almost basically to the edge of the wall. Not quite, but practically. It's just too much. The structural engineer doesn't think that's going to work out very well after crunching the numbers a bit. So we are showing narrower doors and more solid wall area. So we've got about 2.5 feet of solid wall here, which could be very nice for artwork, some photos, what have you, of course. That's going to be on both sides. And then the 6-foot windows have been reduced to 5 foot wide. And these 3-foot leaves, the door and the window here, are now 2.5 feet wide. I'm not crazy about the 2.5 foot wide door to the outside, but it's not so bad. I think that's the size you have now. I prefer 36 inches wide, 3 foot wide, but 2.5 is okay, just to get out into the small little balcony area. And then from the hallway or the vestibule leading to the master suite, we've reduced the windows from 4 down to 3 and introduced some solid wall area on the inside of the vestibule here and at the corner here of the hallway. So still a window here in the vestibule, and still instead of 3 windows in the hallway, now there's 2. But I still think it's great. And I think from the outside, it's probably going to be a bit difficult to even read the change. And if that's the case, great. If you look at this and you still think it looks fantastic, which I think it does, perfect. Then we can just move forward like this. If you want to retain the amount of glazing that we had upstairs and down, and that's the other thing too, is that the glazing changes upstairs carry downstairs as well. So these are now narrower as well. But again, I still think it's okay. Now, actually, the 2.5 foot wide door leading out to the pool decks, there's 2 of them on either side. It's okay. Gosh, I wish it could be 3 foot, but not enough to have to introduce steel in order to make that work. But ultimately, it's your guys' decision. So I'd love to hear what you think. Get back to me, and I can help the engineer, or sorry, instruct the engineer how to proceed as well.